Hello everyone, my name is HM3 Moulton and welcome back to another episode of our Meritorious Advancement Program series. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing command climate, sailorization, and leadership and how it applies to the Meritorious Advancement grading sheet. I had the opportunity to sit down with HM1 Rodriguez in order to break these blocks down in a little bit better detail as well as offer some ideas of how you might be able to better set yourself up for success. One special note about today's episode is that you'll hear myself refer to HM1 Rodriguez as HM2 Rodriguez. And that is because this episode was recorded before he was meritoriously advanced to the rank of Petty Officer First Class during this most recent cycle of advancement. So congratulations HM1, it's incredibly well deserved, and congratulations to anyone else who was most recently advanced during this cycle. And one last note before we get into today's video, just a friendly reminder that if you haven't done so already, please make sure you view the previous content in this Meritorious Advancement series, as well as follow Lead360 on all social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube so you're up to date with all of the training that they're putting out. Thank you once again, and without further ado, let's get into the video.
Good morning, HM2. How are you?
I am good, HM3. How are you doing?
Good. I just want to start by saying thank you again for taking time out of your day to go over this with me. We're going to get right into it. So obviously we're tackling the blocks of leadership, command climate, sailorization. So what to you is sailorization? How would you define that for somebody that's new, that doesn't know anything about it?
The way I like to define sailorization is basically turning young sailors, or any sailor really, into the best version of themselves possible in the Navy. So teaching them how to be well-rounded, giving the tools of the trade, and all the stuff we're looking for, because the Navy wants, smart people and not just people that come and do their job. Come to work, do your job, that's fine, but we want to make sure that the sailors are all progressing personally as well, and actually helping the team come up as well.
Okay, and then jumping right into it, on the topic of leadership, obviously as an E3 and below, you're not an NCO, so you're not really going to have that opportunity automatically to be managing your peers. How would you say somebody hits that wicket and makes themselves competitive, trying to lead their peers and trying to establish themselves?
That's actually a great question. I've actually heard this before from numerous sailors, where they come and talk to me asking, well, how can I get that leadership bullet? I've seen the scoring sheets for either Sailor of the Quarter, evaluations, the Meritorious Advancement Program. And the best way to do it, honestly, is join one of the committees. So E4 and below, we have what's called the Junior Enlisted Association. Joining that committee and maybe holding a cabinet position, so an officer position, that gives you opportunity to actually lead your peers, which is actually one of the hardest things to do, lead your peers.
Exactly.
It gives you the opportunity to fine-tune your skills. So although you may not be able to get it in your work center, you can go out, become a member of the Junior Enlisted Association, and practice your leadership skills right then and there. Because it takes those officers within the mess to get it functioning. There's also other committees like CSAD or CSMAD here at the Joint Service Command, where CSMAD is open to E5 and below ranks. You could be an E3 as a president, and you're leading E5 and below personnel. So that's one way you can get your leadership bullets, because you're still on the front lines, organizing events, and that's basically how you fine-tune your leadership skills.
Okay. And then what about the teamwork aspect of that block where it comes to the leadership wicket?
So teamwork can be a number of things. If it's within the work center, it could be just being that go-to guy. I remember when I got to this directorate, I had an HN Moulton, now HM3 Moulton. And obviously I'm speaking about you, but you, as soon as you got here, you caught my attention. You were the go-to guy. Anything that the sailors needed, you literally said, send them my way and I'll help them out. Whether it was learning how to navigate the Navy websites, I remember you created a PowerPoint for the sailors just to help them learn how to do these simple tasks. It could be process improvement projects that will increase efficiency throughout the floor. Just being the go-getter and the team player. It doesn't have to be volunteering for every single thing possible, but if someone asks you, hey, can you get this from me? You know what? I got you. Instead of, why can't someone else do it? Or can you get so-and-so to do it instead? Showing that team player aspect. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, HM2. Yes, HM3. I got it. That's a team player right there.
Okay. When it comes to command climate, sailorization, what about training, qualifying, advancing, retaining? Again, how would those personnel E3 and below really hit those wickets? I know, again, as you're an NCO, you're kind of put into those positions sometimes where you can manage peers and you can help them train and advance, especially by the time you're an NCO, you've been in for a little while, so you know how things work. How would you say those that are really new and just starting out hit that?
Okay, that's actually a really great question. We'll start with the training aspect. The training aspect could be something simple as, let's say you're the safety PO for your unit. You can do your monthly safety talks. Through that, you're actually training people. You're training ranks from E1 to 04, 05, depending on what ranks are within your ward or within your unit. Qualifying, some commands are good with E4 BLS instructors. You just have to check with their local policy. If they're fine with it, that's how you can qualify people in BLS, for example, even TCCC. And it's just getting out of your comfort zone, getting out there, asking the questions. The worst thing they can do is say no, but that's how you can get out there, train, and qualify your personnel. Another thing you can do as far as training and qualifying is, I'll give you a great example of what we have going on here at this directorate, at least. We have to do what's called their HMPQS. We have sailors who have actually completed their PQS and started like weekly training sessions or review sessions, study sessions. As an HN, we actually have 3 HNs that started a program here. They set up their weekly sessions. People sign up or just show up, and they review whatever the section was, and that eventually leads to prepping them for the actual HMPQS board. They've had tremendous success with getting sailors qualified in their HMPQS. And one thing I want to say about that is, as an HN, it's very hard, or E3, I'm sorry, it's very hard to get a lot of buy-in from your peers. There may be times where, you might go up to your LPO and say, I tried doing what you told me. I tried setting up a class. I tried setting up a volunteer event, and nobody's showing up.
Right.
A lot of times people think, I'm not going to show up because that person wants to claim me on their brag sheet.
Exactly.
But that's you got to not have that mentality. You got to have the mentality of, you know what, I'm going to set up this training. Whoever comes, because that even if one person shows up, that's one person that you helped out by offering your time. I mean, I'll give a great example too, man. I've done Sailor of the Quarter Board prep at the command level. It's a command of 6,000 people.
Right.
Maybe more. And I've had 10 time slots filled up, and I've had days where only 4 people show up. And I will say, of those 4 people, at least 1 or 2 of them might make it at the directorate level and go up to the command level. And I've seen this firsthand where we had a sailor who had different style leadership and kind of was like last minute. She said, "Hey, I need help." She came to us, went through our program, ended up winning her directorate board, and went on to compete at the command level. We're still pending results, so we'll see how that went. But just making your time available for those sailors, even if you get that 1 or 2 people that show up, eventually they'll buy into what you're doing. And when they see your success, it's going to give them more buy-in, and eventually they'll give into it. And if they don't, it's fine. Just keep doing you, keep offering your time. That 1 or 2 people that show up are the 1 or 2 people that will eventually get that success because you're there to help them.
Right.
Going into advancing and retaining. So retaining aspect, that could be at your level, E3 and below. The way you can do that, it could be something simple as just talking to someone that they might think, hey, I'm going to get out of the Navy anyways. I want to get out. Some of you guys may have joined the Navy a little later. You might have that life experience. You may have joined because it was hard on the outside. Just telling your story to some of your peers might be the buy-in that they need to maybe want to stay in. My personal story is I want to do one enlistment. I was stuck in 29 Palms on a Marine Corps base. And I'll be honest, I hated the Navy I honestly don't know why. I just thought, this is the Navy, this isn't for me. But I was actually attached to a Marine Corps command, so that might have been where it stemmed from. And when it came down to it, I did my separations classes called TAPS back in the day. And I did on a Navy base. So I was kind of shocked, like, wow, I could be on a Navy base next. And it was nice. It went from desert to, beautiful water, green grass. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna call up the detailer, see what they got for me. Detailer said, I have needs of the Navy orders. And I was like, oh man, this can't be good. I said, it's to Hawaii. So there I was, H.N. Rodriguez, re-enlisting to go to Hawaii for 3 years. Eventually, I got sucked into the system, and eventually found my calling when I picked up HM3 and changed my attitude from being the Debbie Downer to, you know what, I can do this, and I can do this. Started helping junior sailors progress in their careers, and here I am, about 12 and a half years later, still in the Navy, still kicking. So it could be either, the right mindset, talking to the right people, and that's what I try to preach to the sailors at my level is you never know what can happen. So you always want to progress in your career as if you're going to stay in. Even if it's that HN pushing HYT, keep pushing as if you're going to stay in because you might get that Hail Mary that you're waiting for.
Right.
When it comes down to advancing, it could be at your level, same thing, where you set up a study session. You can set up a weekly study session and invite all of your peers. If any one of them were to promote, they may have advanced because you set up a study session that they may not have had the courage to set up. But because they came to your study sessions weekly and they promoted, that's how you can get credit for the advancing portion when it comes down to the score sheet.
Right. And then now going on to the next one, what about equal opportunity? What does that mean in regards to command climate and sailorization?
All right, so equal opportunity. When it comes down to this, unless you're the simio of the command, a lot of us won't get credit for it. But what you can do at your level is just make sure you offer everyone the same opportunity. Going into, let's just use the Sailor of the Quarter program as an example. One thing you don't want to do is handpick exactly who you want to go up for the command boards. You want to make it fair for everybody. You want to make sure that you advertise it to everyone you work with. That way, if you never know, you might have the quiet person who says, you know what, I have a strong package, but I never get selected. And they might just raise their hand and say, hey, I want to go up for Sailor of the Quarter. And the best way to do it is you collect your brag sheets, you draft up the packages, and you hold your actual boards at the directorate level. And best person goes up. And when it comes down to selecting the right person, they have to have the full package. They can't just say, I haven't done anything this quarter, but I'm pretty good at boardsmanship. You want to make sure they have a little bit of everything, and they're actually exemplifying sustained superior performance to include their boardsmanship. That's what I think you can do for equal opportunity.
And then what about camaraderie, esprit de corps? What would you say falls into that category?
All right, so camaraderie. It's a little tough right now with COVID, but honestly, MWR, I believe it's MWR and CSAT. They've been doing some pretty good moves lately, where getting together outside of work, setting up events, MWR events, movie nights at the barracks, getting people back into hanging out with each other. It's kind of like high school or middle school even. If you go through school without any friends, it's kind of miserable. It kind of sucks. But if you have a bunch of friends you hang out with, work is the exact same thing. You go to work, some people are working 12-hour shifts, and they go to the barracks room, and then they come to work and go back to the barracks room. They just feel like they're in a cycle that just doesn't end. So one thing you guys can do is link up with MWR committees. Find out what they're doing. Find out what events they can host. Obviously, maintaining social distance guidelines, wearing your face masks.
Right.
Any kind of events help out. I had a sailor who used to be here at my directorate said, HM2, what can I do to kind of get the night shift crew together? He said, I have an idea, but I don't know how to get it going. And it was something simple as, coming up with the roster and maybe a group chat. And he said, hey, we're all on night shift. We stay up all night. This is before COVID hit, by the way. And, he talked about maybe, hanging out the MWR as a group, hanging out, going watching movies or something. That way they can still have the aspect of, socializing. So that's one way you can, increase your camaraderie. Esprit de corps. Esprit de corps, I feel like is an old school term, which means loyalty and pride in your unit. Honestly, just having the pride in what you do. Come to work, you put that uniform on, give it your best shot, and just be that team player.
Right.
I heard a lot of things about every command I've been to. I've been to 29 Palms. People said you're gonna hate it there. I hated it the first time, but when I went back the second time, yes, I went back the second time. I absolutely loved it because I had the right mentality. Coming here to this giant hospital, it was the same thing. A lot of people told me you're not gonna like it. It's busy. There's no parking, and I'll be honest. This is probably the most rewarding command I've been to, and till this day, it's my favorite command. I enjoy coming to work. I enjoy helping sailors, and I truly enjoy everything that Walter Reed has to offer, or NMRTC Bethesda, rah. So honestly, esprit de corps, hey, just have loyalty in your unit, be a team player. The right mindset's going to get you a long way.
Thank you, everyone, once again for listening to today's episode, and thank you also once again to HM1 Rodriguez for offering his time and input into this Meritorious Advancement series. I want to reiterate that this series, in and of itself, is still very brief in nature and is really only scratching the surface of the Meritorious Advancement program. Please ensure that you're always getting with your leadership and your mentors and always reevaluating your progress in your journey for advancement. As always, please stay tuned for the next episode of our Meritorious Advancement Program series. On the next episode, we're going to be breaking down the Meritorious Achievement block and the contents within. Thank you once again for listening, and have a wonderful day.